So, so before we go anywhere with this, I want to talk about your soul contract. The two of you have a soul contract with each other. Um, okay, there's no other way to describe this. Both of you contracted that the first portion of your lives would have just a lot of like challenges. Your higher selves are there laughing because they were sending like 4-letter words down to describe what you guys both had to go through on your own. Um, and um, and your higher selves are together right now while we're doing this. You're very, very close friends in the non-physical uh, way of being, and um, you've been in lives together before in different formats. Sometimes sisters. Some You've explored different ways of having relationships, not so much for your personal desire to explore, because in the higher realm, you feel like your relationship is complete. It's more like what would be fun in this scenario. Just like in current life, you're like, well, what would be more fun to do Friday night? Do we want to get dressed and go to a party, or do we want to stay home, watch a movie in our sweats, or do we want to go out, enjoying friends, hiking in the moonlight? Like, it's kind of like that way. When the two of you come together in life, it's more what would be fun, and also if one of you can be of support to another. The two of you are very, very supportive of each other. And they're telling me you have never ever had a relationship of animosity or aggression to each other ever. You've never done one of the roles where one of you is like an abusive parent, so the other one learns. Like, that has never happened. You've always and only been in loving support and just the closest bonds of love. Um, okay, they're telling me we put so much value on the term soulmate. Oh, my twin flame, my one and only. And by the way, they're just laughing nonstop. Like, they just have so much fun. They feel such joy together that it's just like constantly laughing because they exist on that vibration of being when they're together. That there's just like so much joy. It's almost like um, yeah, they're saying angels like to hang out with you guys because you take the vibe so high when you're together that the angelic realm is very, very receptive to you. Okay, so I'm sorry, I got sidetracked, so I'm trying to get back to what. So they're saying soulmates. We think of as one thing here. Oh, my soulmate, oh, angelic choir, and all of that. And then you hear about twin flame, which is when we're created. We like are one being that is divided into two, the divine masculine, divine feminine. And it's what's the difference between a twin flame and a soulmate, all that. And you two are just like laughing ridiculously because you're like, you think that's all there is to it. That's like saying a family can only be, one parent and one child. Like, there's so many variations on these relationships. So you're saying the two of you. Okay, the phrase that's coming to my mind right now, they're saying I don't quite have it right, but it's vibe sisters. That you're in such harmony with each other that you can vibrate on the exact same frequency, 100%. And this is unusual and very special because, like, if I on my higher self were to hang out with you all, we would vibe together, and it would be harmonious, I'm sure. But we would not be on 100% same frequency. You know that this is very, very, very special. And there are times when the two of you will even just become one for a period of time because it's easier that way than maintaining two separate identities when you are in. They're saying you're not always in 100% agreement, but you're in 100% vibration. Um, and So for your soul contract for this life, you're each other's reward after all the challenges. And it was guaranteed that the two of you would come together and be each other's rewards after you had overcome certain personal challenges, whenever in your life that would be. So they're saying kudos to you that this happened so early in your life, because they were laying bets when it would happen. It could have been when you were like 60 or 70, but it happened much younger because the two of you embraced your challenges and got through them. And they're saying that's not to say there aren't many challenges to come, but the challenges that you had to get through in your youth, they're not showing me what they are. These are, personal for you. But they're saying both of you went through extraordinary personal challenges. And they're saying you got through them with grace and aplomb. And, uh, so congratulations. It's Christmas time for the rest of your life. But you had set for yourselves a bunch of challenges that would go through together. And they're hoping the two of you will remain together for the rest of your lives, because the more you help each other through the next stage of challenges, the higher your vibration will become, and the more extraordinary, wonderful, fantastic the challenges can be. So it's sort of like if you choose to learn a foreign language and you're learning together, so you practice with each other. The more you practice and the more you vibe together with enjoying learning a language, the more you can start learning like poetry of that language, not just the alphabets. So, so there is great appreciation for all that the two of you are and have. They're saying over time your relationship will evolve and morph with each other, as is normal for human relationships. But know that the love between the two of you is more than just between the two of you, that there are pillars of love coming down to the two of you that are like interwoven between each other all the way down. I hope that's nice for you to hear. I hope one of you isn't going, damn, because this is really beautiful, and I've actually only once before seen a soul contract this strong. So that's very, very special. And again, huge accolades to the two of you that you met so young, even though you have said to each other, if only we had met earlier. But you met really at the perfect time for your growth, because you met at the time when you were ready to move to your next stage of life, at the perfect time for both of you. If you had met like 10 years earlier, no. And other things in your lives that had to happen would not have happened. So everything is as is perfect. If you don't appreciate some of the challenges that you had in your earlier lives, you can talk to your higher selves about them. But they also want to remind you nothing ever goes as planned. Ever. We talked about this in the soul contract class, that you make a soul contract with someone that things will happen a certain way, and then they don't honor the contract and nothing goes right, or they're not even there, so you have to muscle through on your own, or like nothing ever goes as planned. So before you go around blaming yourself, like, I did this to me, what? Just remember that nothing ever goes as planned. And we're not meant to be here to have a beautiful, enjoyable, happy life every life, because then we would never evolve. Um, okay, they're saying there's a reason why the two of you are living the life you're living now. It's not just for you. Um, they're laughing. It's not all about you. You think it's all about you? No. Which is a normal thing to think. You're like, what do you mean? It is all about me. It's my life and my eternal state of being. And they're like, no, no. That you are here also to impact others. And they're saying this is part of why it's important that the two of you are together, because you need to find solace in each other's arms. And the two of you bring your vibration so high and give each other the support to rise up and be your best, that there's some work ahead for you. And this is not challenges like for your personal being. This is work that you need to do to help the planet. And this work is coming up. Opportunities are coming up. They're saying it's no coincidence that the three of us are here today. That without question, things are going to come of this. So they said it's good that you have the attitude of saying yes to opportunities and going with your impulses, because that's going to be important for opportunities coming up in your future. And keep your vibe up. They don't want me to tell you what's going on, but yeah, they're saying good stuff is coming up. Big challenges, good stuff. Your life will not be dull, but your needs will be cared for. You will not become the crazy homeless bag ladies and bag people hanging out. You're not going to be sitting there talking like la la la, and people walk circles around you, or like your needs will be met. Things will flow through you that will be understood, accepted, appreciated. What's very special about you all, for the people you are, will be acknowledged and appreciated. You have a future where you will not be undervalued at all. You will be valued. And the work you do will be affected. They're not showing the two of you working together like this, but more like, I'm doing this work, I need support. Here, I'm supporting you. Okay, now I'm doing this work. Here, I'm supporting you. And it keeps like showing the energy going up, up, up. Do you do work with animal advocacy? Yeah, they're showing some animal advocacy work for the future. And so opportunities will come to you, opportunities that will take you traveling as well as pay you money and be effective. And they're showing me lions. So I'm not sure if any opportunities come up with lions. Explore it. Yeah. And big cats also. Big cats, jungle cats too. So be on the lookout for feline advocacy work on whatever level. But you don't have to look for it. It will come to you. It will find you. Okay, so your higher selves are going to be hanging out, watching. They're going to be interjecting, but they want to step aside for a moment. Your past life, you're a female on a horse in Mongolia. I'm told it's like 1200 AD. And you're dressed in, so you're very Mongolian looking, and you have long hair. It's worn in a braid down your back with like cloth woven through it, and you got a big fur hat on your head, and everything you're wearing is like fur and like silk, and you're well protected, but you look good. Like you look like a person who has traveled a great deal and has money. You know, has uh, you okay, you're a female. She's saying you were a warrior for hire, basically. That you this is you. The name she's giving sounds something to me like Mingha. She's laughing at me. So she's like, "You butcher my name with your ghastly mouth." But until some, but she says we may use this. So Mingha, um, she had great integrity. She would rather battle for free on the right side than be paid for the wrong side. However, she would rather be paid for the work she did because she was a warrior for hire. She grew up in a, okay, when she was very young, she was a Mongolian tribe. She basically was a slave, but she said the term slave there is not the same that we conceive here and now. It just meant that something happened in your family that your family name lost honor. So you were like demoted to the bottom of the social hierarchy, and you had to do the work that everyone told you to do, but you were not so much owned by anyone. You had the ability to work your way back up by being someone of honor and earning your place, earning your privilege. Her father had basically tried to wrestle power from the tribal lord, the tribal chieftain, and he lost in a bad way. But because he had basically been like arrogant, back talking, backstabbing sort of person, he and the family were stripped of like everything and plunged to the bottom. And Ming Ha was like, I don't like this. And I'm not going to just marry whoever tells me I have to marry them after being like this slave class. She's like, I'm going to pave my own way. And she would sneak through the grasses and watch the men at practice. And she said there were some women warriors also, but she was not allowed to because of her low level. But they would show her as a little girl, like sneaking up to a hill and pulling the tall grass aside and watching as they're all practicing. And then she would get a stick and she would practice on her own. And then when she was 8 years old, she knew that there was a she's calling it a convent, but it was like Buddhist, I think. And she ran away to it. She said it was 2 days journey from where they were. They were kind of nomadic from where they were to this place, and she survived on her own to get there. And she said there were ferocious animals. She said it was not safe even for an adult, and she was, an 8-year-old child. She told her mother what she was doing right before she left. She would never just leave. So in the middle of the night, she woke her mother and whispered to her, "I'm leaving now. I'm going to this place to learn to bring back honor for our family." And she slipped out, and her mother started screaming and woke up everyone and said, "You must find my girl. She just left. She's insane. She can't do this." But you became like a creature of the shadows, and you slipped away, and you traveled nonstop for 2 days, barely taking a moment even to rest. And you got to this place. It was a fortress. You like pounded at the doors, and these women, all in like saffron robes with purple and red, and they brought you in, and you fell at their feet, just like passed out. And when you came to, you had been like, you were in. They were caring for you, and they were showing they had not given you a full bath, but no, she said you had been given a bath, and yeah, you'd been bathed and sort of in robes, and your clothing, your furs and stuff were there, and they did not speak quite the same language you spoke, but they pretty well understood the concept of a runaway, and they understood the concept of slavery, and they also knew that they didn't know what to do with you. It's not like they could just take you to the local police station and say, "Call the parents." So you stayed. And because you were used to being the lowest of the low, you were immediately went and you were like looking at who were the lowest people and how could you help them. And that's like, there was no one low there because but there were people who did like the scrubbing, the cooking, the caring for goats and yaks and whatever, and farming, and you made yourself busy helping everyone. But they saw you whenever they were there doing their martial arts things. You would be in the shadows doing it with them, and they would laugh. They would like afterwards. They would go to you and they'd pick up your arm, which you were just a skinny little thing. They'd pick up your arm and laugh, saying, "You think with these little." With these little sticks, with these little twigs, you can, you're nothing but a blade of grass, and you can't do what we do. You have no energy to you, and but they were teasing you. They were teasing you to like encourage you to do more, and you knew this. You knew that what they were saying to you was just like the social way of encouraging you to keep doing it. So you stayed with them. You stayed with them till you were like 16, 17 years old. And then she's saying nearly 17. She said, of course, she didn't know how old she was. And by then you were powerful, dynamic warrior, and then they always knew that the whole reason you came was to reclaim your family's honor. So you left them. She's saying an opportunity came up to go and do some fighting, and they gave you like armor of the time, which was like a few bits of metal on leather that was like fur on the inside and leather on the outside, something that you could wear and move that would like protect you in the primary places but not. And your hat, which was like fur on the inside and leather on the outside, was so hard. If someone hit it with a knife, it would not cleave. And they gave you a horse. It was a horse that you would help to raise. And there was like great love and hugs and like gifts given to you and parcels with like some food and like a skin for water and you went out and you went and to where this battle was, and you went over and said, you can hire me. And everyone's laughing at you because you're still a girl and you were still a bit skinny. And while they were laughing at you, so it's in like this almost like a pavilion area. She said not fancy. It's not like the flowing cloths of the European type pavilions, but it's just like an area. And and so these men are laughing at you, and you just went over and took a stick and started whirling it around so fast, and then you stopped like this, just as the stick was like this close to one of their head soldiers' ears. Stopped. It was like in less than an inch from him. And then you pulled it back and put it like this. And this was like this was like a stick, like I guess, and people fight with a long pole. It was like one of those that one of the soldiers had leaning there. And you just looked at them and you said, so how much will you pay me to fight with you? And if you wish, I can teach you how to fight. And so they laughed and laughed and laughed, and you had diffused the tension of the moment. And so they paid you to be a soldier, and you went out, and the fellow who was supposed to be in charge of your group became very confused and panicked, so you took charge of your group. It was a group of, she says, 12 men. 7 were on foot and 5 were on horseback. And she said, understand, war of this type is not like war that we have now. This was more about negotiating power and territory than a desire to kill anyone. So it was very important that you are the dominant one, and people did die, but you don't want to kill anyone who's good or has honor. And so the goal is to overpower and dominate with minimal bloodshed. Because you want to win and have your territory marked and your rights claimed, like not you, whoever is the head person, but if you kill everyone, then there's no one left to dominate. She said it was truly an art. And so the guy that was supposed to be in charge went into a total panic. He just got confused. And Mingha, you took over and did a great job. And from then on, it was just like he moved up and up and up. And then everyone's like, oh, we're going to a battle. Make sure you sign up, Mingha. Okay, pay her whatever she wants. And so in there, all the time you're like, you found the tribe that your family came from. And one day you rode in, and your parents had worked their way up a little bit, but they were still like lowercase. And you rode in, no one recognized you because you were this like warrior on horseback, and you rode up and you got down, and everyone knew to honor you immediately by the look of you. They knew there was someone to honor, and you said, "You cannot honor me while you dishonor my parents." And you turned to your parents and said, "You must stand beside me and receive honor." This was the first time they had been honored in, like at that point, like 15 years. And, so it changed everything for them. But you had to have a meeting with the council of the tribe and your parents while they determined, well, what are we going to do with this couple now and the rest of their family, and what kind of home may they live in, and you negotiated the return of honor for your parents and your family, and the status of siblings, and it basically extended out to everyone, like those who were immediately related, extending on out, and it caused a rebalance of like everyone's social status within the tribe. But at the end, everyone was comforted because if someone less deft than you had done this, then it would have created like some resentment somewhere in there. And you managed to make sure that no one got bumped out of their status in order for your family to be absorbed back in, which was considered, which that was a big deal. She's saying she did not, what we would call marry in life until much later, because by the time she was ready to look at men, all the good ones were taken. And she had no interest in second string guys. Also, she was a warrior woman, but she could have her pick of anyone she wanted. And she was fine with that. But then when she was much older and she was ready to settle, she ended up taking a much younger man to be her mate because she's like, he was hot and he did what she told him to do. But he was very clever as well. He was fun to spend time with, and he was very happy to not have to be like the major provider and everything, and just and she said she died a good death in bed, covered with furs, and her family there. So I'm asking her, why is she here for you now? She says, you know why. You know the importance of being the champion. You know the importance of valuing love when it comes to you in its true form, and walking away from it when it's false love or conditional love with conditions and demands. And she's very proud of you for this. And she said she has been with you through much of your life when you've needed her warrior spirit. Sometimes when you feel yourself like getting ready to give out warrior cries, warrior screams, she said that's her in your throat. Mingha said she enjoyed a very privileged life, but it's because she created her privileges. However, she created them by doing what was most natural for her and allowing the world to conform to her. And this is a challenge that you as well face in this life. And she's saying, like, go for it. Let the world be what you want it to be to support your vision of whom you wish to be. Does that make sense? Good. Because she adores you. She adores you. She says you have a very a fine spirit, powerful spirit, and she is honored to be of the same oversoul as you. Okay, so now she's laughing because she's pointing at a couple of the other past lives you've been, and she's like, that one had no honor. That one had no integrity. This one was just plain bad. And she's saying that to show that as we go through our many lives, we are many things. And she wants you to know that you have also had lives where you've been everything. And it's a little painful for her to share the soul with some of those lives that she prefers to like push over there, but you she embraces in this life. And this is important for you to understand that the honor and integrity that is within you is seen and recognized, and she gives you support and energy for this. Yeah. Yeah. And she says she loves nothing more than riding her horse across the buttes and the grasslands with the wind blowing upon her. She said it's very freeing. Okay. Now, all right. We have a sailor coming forward. Right, it's a little jumbled. There are two sailor lives that are coming forward, and they're both presenting themselves at the same time. One is male, one is female. They're about 300 years apart. So the male, okay, you're going to love this. All right. The first one, the male, okay, this was in the Mediterranean. We're looking at 400 BC. And he was just like, he was like a fisherman, and he would take his boat out from one port to another for little deliveries, things like that. He was not wealthy, he was not fancy, he was constantly having to repair the boat. It wasn't a big boat, sometimes he had to rebuild it completely. He said to be a fisherman in that time, and let's see, if you look at the Aegean Sea, it's sort of like he's showing it's on the inner part of it, a little bit south of center. So I'd have to look at a map to see the name of what this would be. But, if you're looking at the map here, and the Aegean Sea is going like that with the ocean there, it would be like at the 90-degree point, it would be another maybe 10 degrees south. So this guy's not going to tell a lot about his life. He was just like a guy. He had a family. They were never wealthy, but they never starved. They ate a lot of fish. And snails. They ate a lot of snails. And small birds with long legs that would go running along the beach. That's easy to put a net and grab them. And then you take a rock and hit them on the head really hard, and then fuck them up and cook them over a fire. It's pretty basic life. He said to be a sailor in that time, it was not so much having a boat, because there was plenty of reeds and things that you could build boats. It was the ability to actually manage the boat from one part to another. And he was very good at managing the boat, but he never had the ability to get a good enough boat to go more than just a little ways around. He spent his life dreaming about what's out there, what's beyond. And he loved like going to ports when the bigger boats would come in and hear all the stories. But he knew that that would never be for him because he had family and commitments. So he just lived his small life, and then nothing much happened, you know, and no one starved, nothing heinous, no big wars broke out, and then he died. But he always had this longing to be out and see the world. So a couple of 100 years later, you went back to life as a female, and so it's an island. This is interesting. Okay, not the Philippines, not Samoa. Okay, they're saying north of the Antarctic. I mean, north of Australia. Indonesia, somewhere around the Indonesian islands, like Borneo, that whole area. But okay, you all actually would sharpen your teeth into points, just your upper teeth, not the lower ones, into points, and sharpen your fingernails into points to look terrifying. And you guys had a boat where you would go out and do pirating stuff, and you were terrifying. And when people saw your boat coming up, they would try to get away because you all were terrifying, and they actually thought that you were going to eat them because of the way you looked. And you were like the pirate queen. Okay, you worked your way up this way. Now, here's the thing. You all, like they're showing you with like scimitars, curved swords, and you were like fearless, absolutely fearless. They're showing you swinging, like all of the kind of things that that you see in the pirate movies. You did that. But and you loved going out in this boat. So they're saying to me, the boat was one day some pirates came to the part of the island that you all lived in, and they tried to invade. But then when they saw you all with your pointed teeth and your talons, they thought you were demons, and that shook them. And then you guys basically killed all the pirates. And part of it was like a little bit of like a hide and seek in the jungle, kind of. Part of it was, oh, they're showing this thing where you unleashed like venomous snakes upon them. Like you guys had you knew how to protect yourselves in your place, in your home, and you had all the tricks and traps and stuff because you had been like peaceful-ish people. All you ever just wanted was to be left alone from anyone else. That's why you made yourselves look fierce. And they're going to explain a little more about that in a moment. But when the invading forces came, you got rid of them. They're like, well, now we got this boat. What are we going to do? And they're showing it was like almost like Laurel and Hardy meets the Marx Brothers, with you all trying to figure out how to sail, what do you do with sails and this and that and everything. And you're saying, for modern boats, this was very small, but for your concept of size, it was huge. And and sorry, normally I have these out in advance. I forgot if you need any. So Um, you were able to figure out the mechanics of sailing and steering the ship and the whole sails and everything quicker than everyone else. So you just kind of, and you were a natural leader. But this was by soul contract because of your life before, where you're like, oh, I got a little boat, but I wish I had a ship. You gave yourself this life for that purpose, to fulfill a desire from the past life. And you guys had tattoos on you. And it would explain tattooing, of course, like when you're in a culture like that, it's very painful to receive a tattoo. But they're not just decorative tattoos like people do now. These tattoos always had an important story or part of your representing a part of your soul. You know, it was like showing on your skin who you are in the higher plane and the more spiritual level. And it's also a way of when you develop a form of magic to have it then permanently linked to your physical being. Um, and to have a stronger connection with all that's out there. Um, so your people did a lot of like soul journeying, dream walking, connecting with divine states of being. And that really helped you all in learning how to make use of the weapons that you now inherited and the boat you inherited. And you would go out in the seas. You were terrifying. You were the terrifying pirate queen, like swinging from the ropes and jumping on his ship and going, yeah, and they're like, it's a demon, and pulling out and hacking people to pieces. This was so much fun for you. This was so much fun. You had such a good time. Um, and you know, if we were to look at the globe as a whole, you guys didn't really sail that far, but compared to what your world had been, you got to really see quite a bit of the world. And, you know, you got a good reputation. But it was very, very interesting. In that life, you had a complete separation. It's almost like every aspect of your being was a different pillar. You had, I am doing spiritual work now, and you know, I go into a sacred space and I become one with spirit, and you could astral project, you could, you know, do all kinds of amazing things. You could get advice from, you know, those who were etheric. You had a very strong divine connection. Everyone, she's saying not 100% everyone, but most, many did. And then you had your everyday physical life, and then you had your pirate queen life, you had your battle life. You know, like each of these were very, very different, and that worked. That was like a commonly accepted way of being at this time. You had different gods that you worked with, and different guides, and that you worked with in each state of being. Okay, so I'm asking, why are these two lives coming forward? The first one, I don't have his name. It's something guttural, but I don't have it. The second one, they're not giving me their names, but she says, you know, you can call her the terrifying pirate queen. You can, but because these names are from so long ago, they're saying that it's just not coming from me. But you can connect with them in dream world, like when you go to sleep at night. You can dream about like the adventures of the pirate queen, and she'll start coming through for you. The other fellow, he's like, you know, don't even worry about it. If you want, you can dream about my life, but hers is a whole lot more fun. He said the only reason for you to really dream about his life is to understand how, if you have a tremendous desire that doesn't happen in one life, it can happen in another. And that's what they're really here about, to let you know there are certain things that are happening in this life that are because you wished it in past lives, like you're kind of wrapping up certain things. And and there are certain things you're doing in this life that you're like, I don't know if I'll get it all done. That's okay. It will continue in your next life. So they're saying for you, in many ways, this is kind of a transitional life as opposed to I'm here to learn empathy. I'm here for this challenge or that. It's more like you're wrapping up a lot of stuff and you're getting a lot of big projects, or you're getting, they're saying several big projects started. Um, which sometimes leaves you feeling like, what's the point of my life? Because you know how they say it takes like 50% of the effort to do the first 95% of a job? Well, you're wrapping up a lot of the last 5% in this life, but then you're done with it, which they said had sometimes made you feel like every time you commit to something, then somehow it dries up and it's done. And you're like, well, that was a waste of time. It's not. That was like, so you could get that stuff energetically out of the way to set the platform for bigger manifestation. Does that? Okay, good. I always feel awkward when I'm telling people how things are happening in their life in this life, because, but you know, it's not coming out of my head, so I know it has to be true. But okay. They're saying you've hit that tipping point where you've wrapped up a lot of stuff. Now it's like more just like tying the bow on things before you ship them off. You know, that get ready, things are coming. Things are coming. And okay, and Pirate Queen is saying if you were to look at her, you would be terrified. Well, you won't be because you'll recognize that she's you. But because she had black markings on her skin and her teeth, and her nails were so sharp, and and she said their fingernails, her people, their fingernails were not flimsy like ours. She says people now don't eat the right food, so we have paper for fingernails. Hers really did look like talons. She looked like a demon, and when she comes full at you with a sword and you know, you feel like the gates of hell have opened up. But she's saying that's just one part of her. You know, the rest of her is like um, one with nature, one with spirit, one with life. Uh, so you just want some more food. So don't worry about like what things look like. And she says you don't. You're very good at seeing what's happening inside people and in the core of their being. And she said it's very good for her that you were not you in as you are now in her life, because you'd always see her for her core being and never be terrified of her. And then what could she do? Because she could certainly not kill someone who sees her for who she is. She'd have to share her ship with you. Okay. Um, but she said, just be aware that you're at that tipping point. So your life as it has been is not your life as it will be. And you'll feel the dynamics will change. Things will come differently. And you'll go, well, this is nicer. Why couldn't it have been this way all along? Because you were wrapping up a lot of stuff, debris and bits and pieces left over from past lives. Um, okay, they want the two of you to know about a life you had together. Um, Okay, this is England. We're looking at 1870s, I guess. They're saying the dawn of the industrial age, like the dusk before the dawn of the industrial age. And the two of you were in a sideshow circus. All right. Well, this is not like, I'm telling them right now, this cannot be the last life I share because this is a little bit dismal. So we're going to have one more after this that's a little more delightful. So you, all right, you were what they call a pygmy from Africa, but you were not a pygmy. You're just not as tall as everyone else. But they would force you to be like hunched around and stuff, or sometimes they even had you like on a stage that had two holes in it that you were standing in, so that you looked short. Um, and they would force you to like chatter like a monkey and scream. This was terrible. You were basically stolen from your home and forced to like be this sideshow freak person. Okay, and you were a street prostitute who the very uneducated like, and the guy who owned the freak circus just like fell in love with you. He purchased your services one day and he's like, this is, I don't want anyone ever to touch her again. She's mine. He became like obsessed with you, a little bit of a psycho obsession, but he was ready to give you a great deal of money and nice clothes and take you off the streets. So you're like, yeah, sure, okay. And so he had you dress up in an outfit that showed off your legs and push your bosom up, and and you would sort of parade around, and but so it's like, I guess, a precursor to a stripper. You were a fancy gal, and the two of you became friends, even though you didn't speak the same language, because you were basically kept in a cage and in total isolation. And you would just cry because you used to be a person living a life, and now you're like in a cage, and no one, people throw rotted food into the cage at you and stuff like that. And you could never even understand how this happened, much less why. And is this all there is for the rest of your life? And you took pity on him, and would come over and put like proper meals, things in there. You like grab them, eat, and you started. You were bored, even though the street life was not that great. It was never dull, but you thought this sideshow freak circus would be exciting, but it's really just like, okay, everyone, put up the tent, and now we're doing the show, and then we sleep. Tomorrow we take down the tent, go somewhere else, put up the tent. Like, it was really like, pretty soon it became really dull. And so the two of you became friends, and so you went to your paramour and you said you had an idea. How about if the two of you did an act together, separate from what was already happening, because you wanted to make his life a little better, and you wanted to have an excuse to like teach him some English. You thought at first that he was like a wild beast, like a couple of animals that were caged up, and then you realized, oh, this. And you're saying, keep in mind at that time people like that, it was assumed that they were more animals that looked like people than people. And so you were amazed and delighted that this animal was capable of communication. And, you know, you such a clever animal. And the two of you became friends. And so you would do a show where your paramour would basically say, "Who dares this lady to go in?" You know, do this whole thing of you, while you would be sort of screaming and acting crazy, and then you would go in and calm him down, and the two of you would end up sitting and having like a tea party together, and it would be about the lovely lady, you know, civilizing the wild creature. Um, Life was never good for you guys. Like, let's just say, there's no way for that kind of life to ever be good. But you made it tolerable for each other. Yeah. Until the day came when your paramour found out that you were actually sleeping with a lot of guys. And, and, yeah, so he murdered you. Dumped your body in a river. And went on the next town. So I'm asking, one, aside from the fact that this is a life when the two of you are together, why is this life coming through? What was the purpose? Why were you even in this life? Okay, you were working on empathy, that understanding what it is to be truly trapped, understanding what it is to have no options, and how can you still find your higher state of divine in this situation. In modern day life, we think of Nelson Mandela when he was like in his prison cell and he was still channeling the divine all throughout. That was the kind of lesson you were giving yourself in that life. And it's important to remember that no matter what is happening in your life, it is your choice on how you choose to bring energy within yourself. Whatever energy is given to you, be it loving or hostile, if that energy is coming to you, once it's yours, and you can do with it as you wish. You can transform it into love and divine being within yourself. You do not need to be at the mercy of anyone else. And this is a very sophisticated concept because, of course, you know, we are at the mercy of others. But how far are we at their mercy? The more you become truly the one who is 100% on the energy within yourself, the more you have management over the energy as it radiates out, and the more the energy that comes to you, before it even gets to you, you learn what to do with it and where to send it. Do I really wish to absorb this to like give myself further light, or do I give it back to that person so that they can feel what they're sending out? Or, and this is something that you will be working on now going forward. It's time for this. So your little fellow is here for you to help you with this. It's something that his years of living in a cage taught him to do, because he was not going to spend his years living in a cage in a state of panic. Eventually, emotions have to evolve. But he says, you don't need to live in a cage. But it is time for you to become master of the energy within yourself, and release whatever does not serve. And anything that comes in, just take that and raise it to its highest vibration and gobble it up, like Pachamama does in Earth. And this is not for anyone but you. This is for you, for yourself, a gift you will give yourself. Okay, it's, there's like a little gutter thing in there, and then there's like a, like, oh, yeah, click, um, I can't do it. It just make, but it's something that you make in the throat. But he's laughing. He's like, that's the best joke I've seen in a very long time. Thank you. Click, and I don't know what this would mean or what. Um, he's saying that he and his lady were photographed doing tea. So he doesn't know if there are any pictures of this still out, because it was the early days of photography. But they were photographed having their tea in a cage. So you may find some record of this still. Um, and you are here to support with this process of learning to use energy for higher personal flame of joyous being. And this will also help you with this as well. So I'm telling them, I need something happy. We can't end on that note. That's just like so depressing. Uh, I mean, beautiful and bizarre, but we need something that makes the two of you smile. Um, okay, they want me to talk for a moment about what you all do when you're up there. Um, all right, I don't even know how to explain this. Sometimes some of the things that we do when we're not in body, I'm learning for the first time also. Um, but they're saying right now the two of you are learning to make cotton candy energy, which is, energy comes in all different ways and shapes, and you're taking it, you're like frothing it up to be like very, very light and airy. Um, and okay, they're saying this isn't what you're doing, it's a skill you're learning right now that they want to tell you about because you both are having so much fun with this. There's a group of 5 of you learning this together. And the two of you are like, wait, let us tell you, this is so much fun. I'm like, okay. So, you have energy that flows and streams and flows. Like energy comes in so many different ways. Um, as you all are trying to help raise the vibration of planet Earth, as are many, you're taking dense energy and you're like frothing it so it looks like cotton candy. So you are actually actively lightening up the energy on Earth. This is what the two of you are learning to do right now. And he said there's entire teams who are working, like so many, more than you can fathom, working on different ways to lighten up the energy on Earth. And for you all, this is the technique that you have chosen to work on. So you are, you're saying you remember when you were a child and you go to, you know, a carnival and you get cotton candy and it's so exciting and it's so much fun. But then when you're older, you get cotton candy, you're like, ugh, now I have a stomach ache. She says it's about the childish delight of the cotton candy. And by filling the energy with such childish delight, you are like, and with certain techniques you're learning, you're like frothing it up and lightening it. And the reason you're doing it into cotton candy as opposed to froth or foam is because cotton candy is basically it's lines of energy that are connected and flowing and expanding. Um, she's saying you can also think of like a malleable bird's nest. that is growing and stretching, or but you all call it cotton candy. You love that. You're very active. You're very active with lightening up the energy on our planet, and connecting angelic energy to the planet. And this is why it's so good that the two of you harmonize on the same frequency, that it gets your energy so light that then you can tap the angels to this cotton candy energy and really send glowing love to the planet. So that's what the two of you are doing when you're not in the physical body, as well as watching over everyone in your soul family and all the other stuff that you do. The two of you work together, and you have the healing touch. When people come back from life, if they feel like really ragged, or if they need healing, there's a place they can go where there are like these, it's almost like caves or pods where they can rest, and there are those who come and give them healing energy while they return to their higher state of frequency. You all do this. The two of you help people heal. That is the work that you do. It's not the work you've always done, it's not the work you will always do, but this is the work that you are doing now. In the process of helping, there's like not just people, any souls that need healing. In the process of helping them with this, you are really learning how to feel the different frequencies and vibrations of others' being, and when their being is low and when it's high, and you're learning a great deal about frequency and how frequencies connect within ourselves and connect us to each other. And this is something for your next stage of the work that you will be doing. And it will be all about connection and frequency and sending the highest level of love and vibration to different dimensions, different beings, different planets. I hope that makes sense to you. Good. And it's something that the two of you do together. The two of you live in a state of emotional beauty. Like you just feel the beauty of this energy and the joy of it. So your higher states of being, so just let them send all the joy energy to the two of you, because they said they're there just like living joyous states all the time. So let them send it down to you. A lot of love, a lot of appreciation for all that you're both doing in this life. They're like, thumbs up, you're doing great. Do you have any questions at the moment?
Just reaction there.
Uh-huh.
When you were pulling from my past lives, I had a totally different feeling in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Heavier, like very strange. Like when you were talking to hers, it was like a one.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you started talking again, it was like a polar. Drain is not the right word, but
Pressure?
yeah. Like it
Yeah.
was real, because that's why I kept going. Okay, what's happening?
Yeah.
Okay. My sinuses, it's like it was a completely different pressure field. There was a different pressure in my face and in my head when you were talking up and back for me versus when you were talking. It just instantaneous.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So that's reactively, like, I mean, that's what I felt when you were talking. So I felt like while you were saying that my body was reacting to the way it felt, I was still hearing what you were saying, but I was also trying to check into my body to figure out what that was.
I think it's time for the two of you to really learn energy healing. You know, like Reiki is always a good one to start with, or there's some others there, because the two of you are very connected energetically, and your higher states are being wished to send a lot of energy to you, and they work with energy. So, and you were resonating with what was happening here. So I would say start learning energy healing. This can be done with reading books or YouTube videos, as well as taking workshops, you know, whatever fits with your agenda and, you know, your finances and all of that. There's no one way to learn it, but it's always about opening yourself up, letting the energy flow through you. Getting a book on Reiki is a good way to start, so you can learn like what to do with those symbols, what's this and that, and you know you don't really need to do a certified Reiki class to learn Reiki.
The other thing I would say is for my and difficult extended pain, and she shows up. She receives. She talks to me. She doesn't always talk, but like everything about her face changes. It's powerful to see her mother show up, because it's her face changes, and usually letting me know if she's struggling, if she needs to do something different, if she needs rest, if we need to change something from a health perspective. And it wipes her out.
Yeah.
When she shows up, she's there, usually for a brief period of time, but she also knows that I'm there for her. So she's also, like, when she sees me, she reaches out and pats my face and smiles very and I'm like, hi,
Yeah.
how are you doing? So it's always, she wouldn't tell me how she's doing. Except when, you know, I say, oh.
Yeah. You could try videotaping, like with your cell phone sometime. You might find that the video doesn't even come out at all, or it'll be like, yeah. But this is a good time for the two of you to really start working on, you know, energy healing, mediumship, channeling, develop the skills so that you learn how to work with it and not be the victim of what's happening to you. And yeah.
But it's been happening ever since she died. I think the first time it happened was
Yeah. Start developing your skills. You know, the message has come through very clear. You've both done a lot of work up till now, and now it's time to like get ready for the next cycle of things. So If things are happening spontaneously, start developing the skills to work with it. So, just like we were saying before, if energy is going out everywhere and fixing off electronics, then learn how energy can flow. And if things are happening that are exhausting you, then learn how to work with it so that you get more out of it and you're less exhausted, for sure. It sounds like your mom is wishing to be a guide with this process. She's not revealing herself to me right now. So this is obviously a very intimate relationship with you all. The important thing to remember is it's your body. So anytime anyone wants to come through and it's not a good time for you, or you need certain parameters to be respected, like, hey, I'm going out tonight, you cannot exhaust me. It is your right to express this. Or if someone wants to come through and you're like, no, I'm going to sleep now, can I wait till morning? It's your right. This is your body. So it's fully within your right to put what works for you. And you can also say, I need you to teach me how to manage this better. I need you to come to me in meditation and show me how to do this. You can do that as well, for sure. Yeah.
Her old man was a community, and so having an older Chihuahua fellow around, he was incredibly zen and chill.
Yeah.
Just from that comfort and reassurance.
Snag is actually a horse's soul. He long ago was a horse that generally incarnated as a war horse. And then when projectile weapons were invented, he decided war had lost all honor and he became a dog. And since then he's been a dog. Usually he prefers being a bigger dog out in the country, but for this life, it's really funny when we meet people who can see souls, because it's very confusing for them to meet Snag.
Sure.
They can spot right away. Some of them are like, I've had people say to me, why is there a horse in that dog? Or they'll go, what's going on with this? What's happening with your dog? And I'll go, it's a horse's soul in him. And they'll go, yes, that makes sense. And I always appreciate strange conversations like that are the logical way of life.
His presence is very grounding.
He is a wonderful conduit.
It was very draining for me.
You look tired.
I am so exhausted. I was fine. I had a bunch of energy, and I just
This is a lot was happening to you. First of all, you were energetically connecting. You were also receiving levels of healing and realignment. So drink a lot of water today and hydrate, and definitely take it easy, because you were getting a lot of work happening to you, a lot of realignment. And let yourself take a nap this afternoon, or relax this evening, or relax and read a book or something. Like don't push yourself, because the work's going to continue today and tonight while you sleep. A little bit of journaling, not on anything in particular, just whatever pops in your mind. Some of the lives that we spoke about, if they want to present themselves, you can write about them. What you might find happen is, if you're writing about the Pirate Queen. And first you're writing about the adventures I told you. After a while, you'll find you're writing about things I didn't tell you, because she'll be telling you directly. And you had a strong reconnection and opening. I mean, both of you did. So, yeah,